in a lot of teams' drafts.
Yeah, she's being banned or picked, and we saw in EU how well Fnatic played Catherine.
Oh, yeah.
So she is coming back into meta, which I like. So this is a very interesting shift because Lance is now out of the meta, which enables the Koshka Roam and the Cruel combination. Because if Lance is in there, you bet yourself that you're not going to see Koshka Roam and Cruel, because Lance is going to just shut that down. So because the meta is shifting, we're going to see kind of the meta shift back maybe towards Lance, Petal coming out more often now because of these Cruel pick, etc. So Glaive is going to be picked up for Hammers. Most likely it's going to be a Captain Glaive. The Afro has played a Captain Glaive with Echo, believe it or not. Echo, the Afterburn, is pretty crazy to see, so I'm excited to see this draft.
Just punt someone halfway across the map with the double Afterburn. Well, the Glaive does come on through, and now looking towards the bans, what's the expectation here for Hammers? Like, because we don't see Glaive first pick this much, they are going to take away the Baron. Like, what do you pick as your second pick when you've gone for this Glaive first?
They can easily, if they are making it their captain, they can easily go for something like the Kestrel, or and save that final pick for perhaps a Krull to come out as the last pick. But they have so many options because of how flexible that Glaive pick is. Glaive is one of the only heroes that in competitive can and has been played in all three roles.
Yeah, I think a Samuel ban may come on here because Samuel is played so often by the side of Hammers. Kesher or Samuel are like the two most played characters on the side of Hammers. Usually is the dual combo that they like to get with the Glaive normally. So I feel like if there's anything to ban, if Gankstars did their homework, they'll probably ban either Samuel or Kestrel here. But I think not Kestrel because Catherine is actually decent into Kestrel because of the shield can reflect that damage. But instead they're going to take away the Vox.
Alright, so definitely feeling like this Glaive isn't going to the lane. They do leave Samuel open, you're absolutely correct. But a few other CP junglers open as well. I mean, when you look at the jungle pool, it's totally wide open right now. And it seems like Gankstars are expecting this Glaive to be a jungle or a captain. But banning away the Vox, you obviously don't expect it to go to lane.
Yeah, most likely that's what they're going to be looking for. I mean, even though Starting has played a bit of Glaive, it's just not really one of his signature picks. It's not one that he's had a great amount of success on. So with the Baptiste coming through, again, keeping it flexible, keeping your opponents guessing. Where is this Glaive going to go? Where's this Baptiste going to go? They can both be put into multiple roles, and it's such a smart draft. If you can build a draft around this flexibility, you force your opponents to have to completely show their hands, and then you can take your last pick and decide, okay, is this Baptiste going to be best served as a captain or as a carry?
And Dagio and probably Grumpjaw will come out here, I'm assuming, because that's a pretty strong combination that Gankstars has run. They did use it against Tribe and win most of the early game, and then had a few kind of bad fights and lost in the late game, but that's a comp that they are comfortable with and they know how to execute. So I think, if anything, most likely will be a Grumpjaw here with Adagio in the lane. And then that leaves Hammers with potentially Kestrel, I would assume here, because Starting does love his Kestrel. So let's see if that Kestrel is going to come out.
So what is with the resurgence of Adagio coming in? Because we've seen Adagio more times today than I was really expecting coming on into today's games.
Yeah, it's another healer. That's really the main thing. When the other two healers are taken off the board, Adagio is the only one left, and having that advantage of being able to sustain a little bit longer in fights is really important to a lot of teams. But it's going to be a Rhyme for the final pick.
So it's a Captain Baptiste here.
Yeah, Captain Baptiste, by the looks of things. Rhyme, we have seen be very successful into Grumpjaws in the past. Looking at you, Dog Potato, he had some serious power on Rhyme. What do we think of the final compositions then? Do we, like, I mean, we've talked about Rhyme in the past. It's not been picked for a couple of weeks. What is the expectation with a Rhyme? Like, how do you play that composition?
So Rhyme is really strong into melees. We always talk about if there's a double or a triple melee, Rhyme can be a good pick here. Adagio is one of the few ranged heroes that Rhyme is still really good into because he is a very immobile and fairly stationary hero, and so Rhyme can really try and take advantage of that fact, and it's just going to be about just trying to win that jungle again and make sure that the Grumpjaw cannot make the early aggressive plays that's going to want to.
So Suijay, if you're Gankstars then, how do you just have to put the foot on the pedal and make sure that you can get to a point where you're so far ahead there is no counterplay? Like, how do you make sure that you're winning with this Grumpjaw composition?
Well, Grumpjaw is so strong early, and Adagio is strong early, so they don't really have an early game with Glaive. So they need to basically play safe and scale and make some really good plays with the Baptiste, Glaive, and Rhyme CC, and just pick people off.
All right, so it's all about making sure you've got vision control, making sure that you're able to, once again, be proactive. I feel like that's a theme from across today, is the teams that are being proactive, the teams that are making things happen are having the advantages. Well, I believe the teams are just about ready to get into this one, and I know that you guys at home are too. Make sure to let us know how ready you are on social media using that hashtag Vainglory8. We've got the Hollywood Hammers up against Gankstars here, so let us know who you're going to be supporting as we head on towards the Halcyon Fold once more.
Thank you very much, guys. Once again, Gankstars on the fold versus Hollywood Hammers. Almost called them Halcyon Hammers there. It's Scandal. We're into it. Game number 1.
Well, Halcyon Hammers looked very good towards the end of the challenge battles, for instance. They looked pretty solid in that instance, and now Gankstars are coming off a bit of a slump. So Gankstars going to have to step up here, prove that they are still in contention with those top 2 teams, TSM and North America, TSM and C9, as Playboy Afro getting engaged on.
He's getting jumped on. Ordain does come out. It's going to stun up Xenotech here. Vanes did manage to find the Merciless Pursuit on Playboy. Starting all over is going to be here to try and steal that camp away. Afterburns away, but Xenotech will end up securing it.
Yeah, and this is again the classic A-side maneuver. 3-man invade, take that forward Treant away, stop any potentials for some shenanigans at level 2. Especially good if you don't want to fight at level 2. Again, you know, Rhyme pretty good into a double melee composition here, like the likes of Gankstars is bringing to the table. Pretty good into Grumpjaw, pretty good in some instances to Catherine, although I always find that getting a stun onto Rhyme and then having him focus down can be a pretty good tactic for him. As they try to catch Irakizora in his rotation out to lane here. He's going to be so careful, get stunned anyway.
Afterburn's going to come through. Archaic's going to just meet them in this fight, but Playboy Afro will secure the kill. No assist. Well, assist did go to Archaic, but that'll be first blood to Hollywood Hammers.
Oh, that was tough to watch because Iraqi spent so long playing around the stun from the Ordained, then ends up at the very last moment walking into it anyway, then starting all over, pounced on the ability to chain that CC together. Made Irakizora a very easy target. It's starting maybe a little bit over-aggressive here, but again, Playboy able to just confine Irakizora to the borders of the Ordained, saying, you're not going to chase down starting. And Hollywood Hammers have a pretty good start here. Irakizora already a little bit behind compared to starting. He's at 3 CS compared to starting's 10. But Vanes doing what's best on this, Catherine. Just literally getting those stacks up.
That was cheeky. Archaic did steal away the Elder Tree, and the Xenotech finished it all up for him, and then just came over, one basic attack, stole it away. Thank you very much, he says. But yeah, like you said, Vanes doing a good job thus far, stacking up his passive, has 5 on there as well. That armor will get quite obnoxious in the late game. Now, Xenotech on this Grumpjaw, I'm excited to see it happen because we've seen it time and time again. The ability for a team to just jump on one target and delete them, especially when they got a Catherine on the board as well. It's going to be quite terrifying for the Hammers if they do let Starting All Over get caught up, or Playboy Afro, but they've got a lot of disengage tools of their own as well.
Yeah, it's a triple melee composition from Hollywood Hammers. It's not something that you see a huge amount of, especially in this form. This is not a super hardcore dive. This is, you know, you're playing for a longer fight here with the Rhyme. He's a bit more of a lengthy a duelist on this Rhyme, and so it's very interesting, but there aren't many ways from Gankstars to punish it. The only way that you really feel that the major punish comes out for Gankstars is Irakizora on this Adagio. His Verse of Judgment is always going to get the damage down, you feel, especially if it doesn't get interrupted by either Archaic, Playboy, or Starting, although I say that there's 3 different separate ways to try and stop the Verse of Judgment coming down. It also makes him a pretty good target of Valkyrie. We'll have to make sure that they're careful about how they use that, going to play into the Fearsome Shade, and obviously the Afterburn also good at stopping the Verse of Judgment channeling. And again, there's not many other ways to then punish the triple melee from Hollywood Hammers here, because you have a Grumpjaw who, yes, okay, it's going to be fine. He's going to do well against dueling against the other melee characters in the game, but into a Rhyme, it can be quite difficult because that fortified health makes it difficult to burst him down.
Speaking about being fairly difficult, Archaic's going to be fairly difficult to take down, like you said. Xenotech matching him in the 1v1. Playboy Afro's going to be here too. Ordain's going to stun him up. Those frozen pillars doing a fair bit of work. Xenotech has used the Hangry. Afterburn over the wall from Starting All Over did end up missing there. Just stood still and pops the little emote as well and says thank you.
Again, I mean, I think Xenotech's going to have to be hitting Tension Bodo or Monocle potentially here for him, and then he might be able to do some serious damage in these fights. But there's so many ways of shutting down a Grumpjaw on the Hollywood Hammers side. Ryan often pretty good into Grumpjaw. Obviously Afro can keep him confined to the Ordained if he doesn't have a reflex block to deal with that. Vanes is going to make an aggressive move here.
Well, very aggressive. Archaic goes fairly low, but Xenotech is going to be the target from the hammers. Now they have to kite back, though. Xenotech just handily dealing with Playboy Afro. Xenotech, Irakizora made his way down from the lane. Archaic just refusing to die.
Right, starting got away.
No, he got away. Archaic's going to pick up the kill. Starting all over. Somehow got out of there.
What?
Archaic and Playboy Afro just waltz on out of there as well.
Were they just so obsessed with trying to take out Archaic that they just forgot starting all over was one basic attack from death? He just waltzed into a brush next to the fight and gets away. How does that even happen? Is Archaic that much of a threat? I mean, I guess you can get rooted by him, but once that's done, just run past him. Run past him and get something from that fight, because it was a situation where Gankstars could have turned it around.
You're asking me. I don't know how they didn't find him either, but they didn't. That didn't happen, and that'll be another kill going over, and it will land on Playboy Afro on Archaic this time as well. He's really starting to ramp up here. He's actually finished the Shatterglass's first item, starting all over. It's going to afterburn to safety.
Well, the burst was heavy. The burst was heavy. Level 6 and Xenotech as well. You can just eat the rind, by the way, if you want to. Or you can just eat the glaive.
Oh, you could just do that. Yeah, it does swallow up, starting all over, and that'll be a kill for Xenotech now.
Again, you know, before reflex blocks, you want to be using this Grumpjaw ultimate as much as possible. Get right up close and personal. And something that's like a small micro piece of information about the Grumpjaw. It's very hard to block a Grumpjaw ultimate point blank. And with a triple melee composition, it is more than likely going to be point blank because you'll be playing into the Grumpjaw, right? The only indicator really on the point blank Grumpjaw ultimate is a sound that he makes. I'm not going to try and replicate the sound, but it is a sound trigger for the Grumpjaw ultimate that you have to try and think about listening to get the block off efficiently, because otherwise it's just very difficult to try and spot the animation when you're actually stood on top of the animation. So I think it's all about a sound trigger here for blocking that Grumpjaw ultimate. And against the triple melee composition, it might be easy for Xenotech to get really impactful ultimates off, because it's, again, going to be so difficult to block them.
I'm all for, by the way, you actually make that sound to add to the sound bank of caster sounds to make into a sound pack or something for Vainglory. That'd be quite entertaining. Xenotech is going to just swallow up starting all over again. That's actually going to get blocked by the Ordained. Beautifully used by Playboy Afro. Starting all over, still going fairly low here. Xenotech is going to use those boots to try and catch up, but the afterburn will lead him to safety. Playboy Afro now getting jumped on here. Vaines is actually going to find the stun on Archaic. They really want this kill on starting all over.
Vaines has still got his ultimate.
Away, though. Well, Xenotech's going to dash in, and starting all over is going to bite the dust. There goes the tension bow damage. Xenotech says thank you very much. Now it's a 3v2 situation. Playboy Afro fairly low as well.
Getting the stun onto Ryan pretty good. The range that Irakizora has will be very crucial in these fights too. But you saw there, that was a great Ordained. You mentioned it, Playboy Afro actually Ordained as Xenotech jumped over the wall, which meant he actually got the ult off. But as the ult animation finished and he tried to move, he just moved straight through the Ordained and spat starting all over out instantaneously. There is the worry for the Hollywood Hammers here. Now, you get to the point where you're actually not going to be able to deal with the amount of damage output that this Grumpjaw has. This is one of the problems. If you don't prioritize armor and armor quickly, it's a very easy set of item spikes for Xenotech to actually hit the Tyrant's Monocle or the double Tyrant's Monocle build on top of the tension bow. And that actually does an insane amount of damage if you get onto a target, especially if they're locked up by the Catherine, for instance.
Well, speaking of locked up by Catherine, starting all over, it's going to get found out once more. Xenotech tried to dash forward to try and swallow him up, but didn't pop the ultimate. It was only the hangry he ended up using, and now Hammers, they do have control of this lane, you must say. Still pushing on, but 2 kills apiece right now with the gold lead, only just in favor of Gankstars, about 1,000 in their pockets. What is the play here from Hammers? Do they just want to fight Xenotech right now? They haven't really got all the reflex boxes they need, as starting all over hasn't managed to pick one up yet.
Yeah, they've got the Crucible, and that's probably going to be primarily used for the Catherine silence. I mean, Vaines is already at 17 stacks. I think they need to hit some armor here. I think Poison Shift for starting all over, that's pretty important to give him sustain in fights. Archaic needs a bit more armor. Definitely starting needs a bit more armor. That'll be crucial because Grumpjaw's going to start hitting really hard now. He's at least got one of these Tyrant's Monocles on board, so...
He's going to start hitting like a metaphorical truck. Here comes starting all over. Over the wall, does find Vaines. Vaines is going to stun up Archaic for another stack. Starting over, can't really make anything work here at Scoundrel. It doesn't seem like he's actually using these afterburns fairly aggressively. Araki Zoro really just hasn't been obviously has gone down twice, but at the moment, he's just got so much front line from Vanes and Xenotech. It's hard for him to be touched at this point.
Really interesting that Archaic's gone for the Shatterglass first. Now, in a lot of carries, Shatterglass is actually better because of the scalings, but Rhyme doesn't have the biggest scalings in the world. People often consider Eve of Harvest or Broken Rift as a better first item here. But Archaic going for the Shatterglass means he's looking for burst damage, which is really interesting. And I guess that's primarily coming down to just trying to get as much damage down in a short period of time, maybe onto Iraqi Zoro. So maybe this is spelling out that they are going to try and ignore Grumpjar for the most part and go straight for Iraqi on this Adagio being so immobile for a lot of, well, being one of the least mobile ranged carries anyway. Gankstars just going to start up the gold miner.
Yeah, Xenotech actually missed the ultimate onto Playboy Afro there. So he's not going to have that for another 50 seconds. It's going to be a stun onto Archaic. He's taking a lot of burst damage. Actually has to use the boost to get away. Playboy Afro's in a lot of trouble here. Does end up disengaging, throwing that bad mojo behind him, and that will leave Gankstars maybe just to freely take this gold miner. There's no way Playboy Afro gets near this at all, especially with Vanes there. Starglover's going to come in, though. Just get stunned up immediately. Xenotech going fairly low. Fearsome Shade is going to get blocked by Gankstars. First Judgment is going to come out as well. Crucible is used by the Hammers, and they do end up disengaging, but that'll be a net gain for Gankstars there as they take the gold mine.
Yeah, they get the gold mine again. Another two abilities that you have to think about crucibling here as well is the Verse of Judgment for Iraqi Zoro as well. We talked about the Catherine silence, but again, Verse of Judgment against the triple melee composition, super important to block. To be honest, I kind of brushed over it earlier, but you are going to be in range of that primarily at all times during these team fights, so it's very important that you have that. Now, Playboy Afro's just dead.
Yeah, he is straight dead. Who's straight dead too? Starting all over if he's not careful. Archaic is going to disengage backwards here. Playboy Afro didn't stand a chance. All the defensive items in the world can't stop you from Xenotech killing you. And that'll be another kill over to Gankstars. Now they're going to force this turret.
One of the other reasons, wait a second, Valkyrie comes out, but I don't think it's enough here to protect as Gankstars get the first turret of the game. Maybe another reason that you go Shatterglass on Rhyme is for the for the crystal power ratio on his basic attacks. They deal a little bit of damage over time, and it has a crystal power ratio, and then 25% of that damage dealt goes towards fortified health. So maybe getting a Shatterglass actually makes Rhyme beefier because you deal more damage with your basic attacks, giving you more fortified health. That's another theory here. I'm not sure that makes too much sense, but it's definitely a theory.
Everything's in theory until you put it into practice. Now, Hammers, they have taken that turret, so one turret for them and one turret for Gankstars now. What is going to be the next course of action? Because Archaic, he's had an impact, yes, but right now he's really just struggling to actually get onto the back line. Iraqi Zoro, he's attempting to make his target, but they have to deal with Xenotech first, like you alluded to earlier. Now with one turret apiece down, it's going to be extremely hard for either of these teams to push into each other's jungle without getting spotted out. But Gankstars willing to make the plays, willing to commit to these fights more often than not, leaving Hammers a little short. Here comes Vanes with the stun. They're going to target starting all over. Afterburn's going to come through, as well as the Valkyrie and the Fearsome Shade from Hollywood Hammers. They do end up disengaging completely there. There's a lot of big ultimates used. That was an Echo, though, fought by Playboy Afro, so he does have another Fearsome Shade in him.
Oh, Vanes has got the Null Wave Gauntlet now as well, so that'll be looking to lock down Playboy Afro's attempts to stop these engages. Vanes picking that up is pretty huge for them as well, because it gives them so much control in these team fights as the Crystal Sentry goes down to Gankstars. Hollywood
comes the Ordain. There's the Blast Tremor. Oh, Iraqi Zoro in a lot. No, not Iraqi Zoro. Xenotech's in a lot of trouble. Fearsome Shade comes out on Iraqi Zoro. Now he's in trouble. They're just going to chase after him. Can Catherine do anything? Versus Judgment's going to come down. It's going to get blocked. He's going to get killed. It's going to be another kill for Hammers. They're just going to cut Vanes down, and that'll be an ace for them. We'll see what they can do next. Gold mine is available, but I think they're just going to push for the turret.
That was far too aggressive from the Gankstars, guys. They were so pushed up. The Crystal Sentry was enough. They didn't really need to get anything more. And Xenotech overextended, got played into the Ordained Afterburn combo. He got basically isolated by himself at the backside of the jungle. He's going to be so careful here, but that's lots of damage.
Oh my goodness,
Whoa.
It's going to get blocked. Xenotech's going to cut him down, though. He says ace buff? What ace buff? Hang on a second, let me clear these minions as well. That turret doesn't end up falling there, so net gain in gold, yes. Objective gain, not at all for Hammers.
I mean, they've got shielding, right? Starting especially has got shielding. He seems to be so worried about what the damage that Iraqi Zoro can put out, but he's more likely to be going face to face with this Grumpjaw, who's now finished his triple item spike build with the double Tyrant's Monocle, you saw how much damage that Starting's taken. He desperately needs some armor. He needed it 5 minutes ago, let alone at this point in time.
Double Monocle for Xenotech. He is looking all too scary on the Scrumpjaw. He's 3-1 as well. He's carrying Iraqi Zoro, who's 0-3. That's how it's supposed to be. The jungler carrying the laner, some of the time at least. Now Xenotech, what's his plan here? What's his move? Does have 5 seconds left on his ultimate timer as well. Hammers just cannot seem to find these fights. And when they do, it's on their terms. But every single time Gankstars takes the fight to them, it's extremely hard for Hammers to actually react. Blair out here, Bad Mojo as well to gain a little bit of vision for Playboy Afro. But that's really about it. That Kraken has just spawned as well. But Gankstars firm control over the Hammers jungle.
They're going to go straight for Crystal Sentry. Ordain's not going to do much to ward them away. Vayne's now at 30 stacks. That's 60 armor and shielding for him. On top of the shielding and the armor that he's already got on top of his base armor and shielding too. Becoming a very, very tanky individual here for Gankstars. Iraqi Zoro's at his 3 damage item spike. He's got the Broken Myth, the Alternating Current and Shatterglass, and Rhyme. He's been sitting on the Shatterglass. There's not a lot. That's really not a lot to bring to the table in terms of damage as a Rhyme, because your scalings are okay, but they're not fantastic. I think the highest scaling you've got is 140% as Starting All Over looking to isolate here.
So over the wall, he's trying to isolate Xeno. They found it. The Valkyrie came through. That's a massive fear as well. He has cut down where he stands. Now Vaynes, he's very tanky, but 3 members are chunking him down. Xenotech trying to go for a little something here. Nice null wave. Nice into the blast tremor. Starting All Over is going very low. Has to afterburn away. Iraqi Zoro still the target for Archaic. He's going to be able to come up with this kill if he stands a little longer on him. There we go. Vaynes gets stunned up by the Ordain, and that's going to be it. Hammers, they find the ace once more, and that Kraken's on the board as well.
Iraqi, once Xenotech goes down, Iraqi just doesn't have the damage to deal with Archaic to get through that fortified health, especially when Archaic is on top of him. Iraqi just so low damage output compared to the amount that Archaic is tanking, especially with this Aegis here. I think Xenotech has to be super careful about his positioning. He's getting caught out and isolated, and the chain CC from Hammers is making it very difficult for Xenotech to function. Can't make use out of your hangry basic attacks when you actually can't basic attack at all. And that's why we've seen a double Crucible come out. Vaynes and Iraqi Zoro have picked up Crucibles. It is so imperative that they block this fearsome shade that they have now dedicated 2 members to make sure that that happens.
That's a lot of gold off of Iraqi Zoro as well. Something he can maybe put into a damaging item. Although he does have 3 in his back pocket, so that Broken Myth, Shatterglass, Alternating Current is doing a lot.
He doesn't need the Aegis necessarily, because realistically he shouldn't be getting hit by Rhyme. So that's a theory as to why the Aegis isn't as important. But, you know, it's still important.
It is very important. That's Crucible actually used by Hollywood Hammers. They do end up just going in on this one. Afterburn straight onto Xenotech. He's doing a lot of damage. Those Spires as well are doing a fair bit. That's going to be a fearsome shade block from Gankstars. They're still trying to make this fight work. Starting All Over can't enter the fight. Valkyrie onto 2. Now what is going to happen? Oh my god, that was a big stun. Starting All Over dashes in, trade 1 for 1, and now Xenotech has to use that Hangry to get away. Playable Afro chasing him down. Beautiful Ordain into the Mojo, into the Spire. Picks up that kill. That Kraken still marching on their base. Gankstars, they lose 2 members here. They're going to lose another turret. And this could be the 3rd one going down as well off 1 Kraken push here.
They're trying to go for the game right now. Archaic's got a lot of damage. When he's kind of uncontested, he's getting attack slowed. They're trying to prevent as much as they can, but this is pretty much Hollywood Hammers running straight down after 2 successful team fights in a row, and they're going to get the first game.
Iraqi Zoro is going to come up, but it's a little bit too late. They pop the Crucible for the star points. There goes the Crystal. There goes the game. Hammers find game number 1 in this best of 3.
Once they were able to lock down Xenotech in these fights, once he was getting shut down, there really wasn't that much damage coming out from Iraqi Zoro. You know, it was so easy for, especially Rhyme, to sit there and tank it, as well as starting all over with these double Aegis. Once Xenotech went down, it was dunzo. All of these team fights were dunzo. I don't think this Adagio worked for Iraqi.
We'll see if he wants to check.